Hello, this is Tony Hiller from RealClimateScience.com. You can probably hear a lot of noise in the background from the wind. We have a storm moving in which is forecast to bring lots of snow and the second coldest temperature ever recorded in Cheyenne, Wyoming. The minus 31 degrees Fahrenheit forecast for Thursday morning will be by far the coldest temperature ever recorded this late in winter. Carbon dioxide seems to be having some difficulty trapping heat here in Wyoming this winter. But that's not the topic of this video. President Carter is dying and there's a lot of people rewriting his history now. I found this claim particularly interesting. Carter believed in green energy. I worked for President Carter on his energy program and have a slightly different perspective. During the 1970s, scientists weren't worried about global warming. They were worried about global cooling and a new ice age. On the energy front, the United States was very dependent on Middle East oil. Islamic countries didn't like the United States meddling in their politics, so they cut off our energy supply. In 1974, there were massive gas lines. Musician Lindsey Buckingham's father died of a heart attack waiting in line to buy gas. President Carter responded with a plan to make America energy independent. He called his plan to develop U.S. coal and oil shale reserves the moral equivalent of war. Colorado has more oil and oil shale than all of the oil reserves in the Middle East. I worked for President Carter on his coal and oil shale development projects. Here's a couple of coal papers I wrote at Los Alamos under funding from President Carter. The United States has more than 2 trillion barrels of potentially recoverable shale oil. But I got laid off a few days into the Reagan administration. Reagan shut down Carter's program to develop domestic energy and opted instead for cheap Middle East oil. Carter was interested in any kind of energy we could recover within the United States of America. He put a solar water heater on the roof of the White House, which President Reagan took down. Scientific American wrote an article about this a few months ago in which they praised China for their green energy programs. But they forgot to mention that China burns more coal than the rest of the world combined and has accelerated mining and the construction of coal-fired power plants. President Carter actually cared about the well-being of the United States, and apparently the Chinese government also wants to make sure that their population has enough energy. Carter was the exact opposite of Joe Biden. He believed in living by the law and avoiding any appearance of conflicts of interest. Toto has been pulling back the curtain on our Orwellian world for the past 15 years. You can visit him, Kyrie Caesar, Toki, Upla, and the 4 new puppies on the web at RealClimateScience.com.